Welcome back, guys. So today we are going to add a pretty unique OEM part to this car. So in Japan, you could get orange and black interior on any color GS-F. It's pretty wild when you think about it. It would clash with a lot of available colors, but they are still available. They were only on a couple hundred cars in Japan. They're still available, but it takes a long time and they are not inexpensive. I was able to get the front, top and bottom seats, so we're going to install those, swap them over to the frames. These are not inexpensive, as I said. Just to do this swap, you're looking at almost $5,000 to do it. So it's a lot of money. Yeah, it is. But is it cool? Yes, it is. And it's OEM parts, so you know they're going to fit, you know they're going to work. I can't do the door panels because the left-hand drive versus right-hand drive is different on the front door panels, and the rear ones are no longer available. The rear seats are no longer available as well, but the rear headrests are, so I went ahead and installed those. If I don't like how it looks, I may end up going a custom route on the back to have it match this. The previous owner of my car already did the steering wheel, which has an orange bottom, and it also has a orange and blue shift knob and shift boot, so which was specific to this interior. So let's jump right into it.
A few moments later.
All right, here we go. It is time to swap this interior out with the Japanese orange and black interior. The seats, the seat bottom, seat tops, and the rear seat headrest. Everything else is going to end up being a custom job just because of being either A, no longer available, or B, the difference between right-hand drive and left-hand drive. So this interior was only available on the GS-F in Japan. Right-hand drive only. That's the only place worldwide you could get it. So I kind of had to do some fumbling around to figure out if this was going to work or not. Some of it cost a little money that ended up not working. But basically the front seats, we'll swap over left-hand drive and right-hand drive. The seats are the same because the seat covers are the same. We're going to swap everything over and reuse the existing frames. So reuse the airbags, reuse the frames, reuse the motors, but the cushions come with the covers, the cushions, and the heat seating element, and that'll all swap over. So the fronts, the door cards, the door panels, left-hand drive to right-hand drive, they're different on the front. The rears are no longer available, so what we're going to do is end up doing a custom job for those. So I'm going to take those to an upholstery shop and have them done to match as close as possible, as well as the rear seat, if it seems like it's out of place. If it kind of blends in with the other orange and black, I'm going to leave it, but if not, we're going to switch it over. Tools that you're going to need, just basic set of hand tools, and you're going to need a set of hog ring pliers. If you don't have those, as well as some hog rings, I will leave a link in the video description of where you can get those. Not very expensive, especially if you're going to spend a couple $1,000s on seats. In the grand scheme of things, that's pretty minor. So let's jump into it and see where this goes.
What the dog doing?
The first thing you're going to want to do is set the seats up a little bit and kind of in the middle. So you want to be able to have access to all 4 bolts. They're 14 millimeters. They're 14 millimeter bolts. Once you've done that, disconnect the battery. In my instance, just disconnected the ground. There are covers on those, and all they do is just slide forward. You kind of lift up and slide forward. 14 millimeter bolt times 4 per seat. On the seat belt, you need to lift out and up to show the seatbelt bolt, and that is also a 14 millimeter. You can either get a wobbly in there or just wait until you loosen the seat and then tilt it back to remove it. Underneath, there are 3 connectors that you need to disconnect. The yellow one is the airbag, and then the other 2 are power and controls. So those 3 are what need to be removed. And once you get everything out, you can see all the nastiness that you can't get under a normal detail, found to, I don't know, not quite $1 worth of change. These are sources of rattles too, so if you have anything that falls down under there, good time to clean and condition your existing covers if you're going to reuse or resell them, especially while they're on the frame. Everything is stiff and will stay put. Mine have 54,000 miles on it, 10 years old, really an overall pretty good condition. Previous owner took very good care of it as well. onto the removal, there are two straps that you can see that are kind of hooked underneath, and that holds the backing on. There are two zippers that are kind of exposed once you fold it up. You zip it all the way up, and that will gain you access to everything. There are three hog rings right there. You need to cut those, and that will give you further access. All that's doing is holding the two pieces together. There's a green connector that has the heated seats that you need to disconnect, and then on the top, that is for the cooled seats, and on each side, depending on which side you're working on, there's two 10mm bolts, and those are straps that hold the airbag on. Up top, you need to kind of squeeze and pull out these connectors for the seat backing, and that will allow you to lift it up. Again, make sure you disconnect the cooled seat part. You'll see when I remove this that I forget to do that, and then I had to stop in the middle of it to do it. So we'll tilt it back again and go back underneath. So you can see we've got the seat bottom. There's about 4 little hooks there, black plastic hooks, and they're sitting on the frame. You have to kind of pry those loose. And then there's 3 more connectors that need to come loose, along with a little wiring harness clip. There's a couple of those. But the harness is all going to come out with the seat bottom. So when you buy a new seat bottom, it includes all of that. So on the front, there's a hidden Phillips screw right there. Once you remove that, you can lift up in this instance, or forward of the seat. And on the other side, there's 2 little green clips, and they're basically just door panel clips is all they are. But one has to come down, that's the one you can see there, and then one has to come out. On the side, you have to sort of lift up and out to get access to everything else on the side of the seat. But don't just go yanking, because there are harnesses behind there, and I'll get to that in a minute. Same with the other side, kind of lift out and up, pry from the side, and that'll give you access to what you need. So there's, again, another 14mm that you need to remove, 14mm bolt. And that's just holding a cover in place, and then remove the seat belt, again, a 14mm, just kind of let it dangle. There's still a wire attached. There's a hook here that's holding on part of the cover. Just pull it back and let it come around. Just making sure everything is loose here. And on the other side, there are 2 connectors that need to come out. You can see this black wire that goes to this side cover. That has to come off, and then there's a black connector that goes to the motor underneath, so you just need to remove that. So we're not completely removing this plastic cover, we're just sort of getting it out of our way, and it gives us access to the lower seat bottom. So you can see now everything is free. So you see that remaining green clip in there, so have your trim pry tool to pry that out, and then on this side it's just going to lift straight up. So once you get it loose, oh yeah, and a harness clip. Free that. The harness stays there. And then just lift straight up. And it'll pop off of, now that that Phillips screw is removed, just pull straight up. Pretty hard. We're just going to move that off to the side. We don't need to disconnect it any further. Just kind of need the trim out of our way. So now on the seat bottom, there's this plastic clip along the entire edge. There's one on each side. There's one in the middle, and then one on the side of each middle. So a total of 5 that have to come off, and you have to pull on them pretty hard. They're really tight on there. But it's just pressure fit is all it is. So once you have that loose, you should feel the cushion start to be free. And you have to feed the wiring harness out through the front. Make sure everything's disconnected. I was missing one. There was another green connector that was hidden there for the other seat heater. You can see it right here. And it's also connected with another wiring harness clip to the actual seat cover. There's a piece of plastic that it's attached to, so that has to come off as well. So now we have the seat bottom free, and you can see the harness, everything that's there. There is an additional connector if you're working on the passenger side. There's a airbag occupancy sensor, and that has to be removed as well. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. On the top, you kind of have to pry the wings of the seat out, hold your foot on the bottom of the frame, and just pull straight up. You're going to get a lot of resistance, but you can see in this part I actually forgot to remove the cooling part, and I had to stop halfway and finish it. But you can kind of see the frame. You can see all the heated seat stuff, the occupancy sensors, the lumbar, the airbags, and it has this kind of mesh all over everything. It's a very heavy seat, even with the cushions removed. So the reverse is the exact same. Unzip everything, sort of push down really hard, and make sure you reconnect the cooled seat, the airbag, the two little straps there. Make sure they're not twisted. Reconnect everything with a 10 millimeter. You don't have to touch anything on the lumbar, nothing like that. On the inserts for the upper seats, I'm using Elvin Wong carbon fiber inserts, and they fit very well. I'll talk more about that later. So the airbag occupancy sensor. So this is for the passenger seat, and because this was from a right-hand drive car, it's switched. Well, so what I have to do, I had to cut the sensor off of the Japanese market seat, and I'm going to loop that around. So it basically fools the sensor so it thinks somebody's always in there. The alternative is it would never think anybody's in there, and you don't want that in the case of an accident. So again, the reverse is just the exact same. You're going to use your hog ring pliers for these three that you removed earlier, and it just attaches the two pieces and holds them together. So there's no separation. Reconnect the wires, hook everything back up. Once you've done one, it'll make more sense to you, as was my case here. Getting these side covers back on are a little bit tricky. You kind of have to start them up top, make sure you can hear them click into place, and then down below. Reattach those straps underneath, and here's our final product. And so you can see a little wrinkle there from having it sitting on the end. That will come out. So when you see the final install here in a minute, you'll see that completely disappeared. So the Elvin Wong carbon fiber, the fitment is almost like OEM, so fits very well. There's no spacing, anything like that. It looks like a high quality piece, as you would expect, because that set, I think I paid nearly $700 for those, so they're very expensive, but they're commensurate with the price paid. The quality is commensurate with the price paid. Very, very good quality. I do like the color. The real color is hard to pick up on camera. It's more of like a faded orange in person. It looks more bold when the camera picks it up. You can see I'm still waiting on the two dash pieces from Lexus. Twice now that they've been ordered, they come in and they're damaged, or at least one of them has been damaged. So we're waiting again on a third time. When you put the seat in, you kind of have to go sideways. Be very careful so the rails do not scratch anything. And here is the final product. So I know I rushed through everything. You guys can go back and review everything if there's any questions. But the important part is the airbag passenger sensor, the occupancy sensor. If you are using Japanese seats, you're going to have to switch them. You can see on the back, I'm not really digging just the orange headrest. I think I'm going to continue on for the custom job to get the leather, trying to match it with the front. But I think just the orange headrest in the back, not quite enough. It doesn't quite look right, in my opinion. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you agree. So I think the orange seats with the orange car, the molten pearl, that is a good match. I'm glad they offered it. I'm glad I was able to still get everything. Regarding the center console pieces, I tried buying them and hoping that the console sides were the same, but they are not. It is specific to the right-hand drive. Place where the pins are, the clips, they're different, and they're different sizes from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. So again, if you're going to do something like this, you're going to have to go a custom route because this isn't going to work. And finally, I do have a list of all the part numbers and everything that I used and acquired in the video description. So again, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll try to read everything. And those of you that are wanting to replace your seats, if your seat bottom or seat back is worn out, this video will cover that, of course, as well. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.